Demand. We're going to talk about the Canadian women's national team on the field. And what a win coming from a goal down to defeat France. 2-1 was the final on Sunday afternoon, breathing new life into their Olympic campaign, trying to go back to back and trying to compete to reach the podium for the fourth consecutive Olympic Games. Vanessa Gilles, who else? She Canada's top goal scorer, period, end of story, ends up scoring the 102nd minute to give Canada the full 3 points against the hosts France, which means if they go on and beat Colombia on Wednesday, then they punch their ticket to the knockout round of the competition, and that's what it's all about. Meanwhile, breaking on Monday, Canada has filed an appeal, the fact that they were docked those 6 points earlier in the tournament, hoping to salvage or get some of those points back in the meantime. But the math is quite simple. You win, and you're in for Canada as they face Colombia on Wednesday. Just a huge day, just a huge performance by Canada, Alex, coming away with the victory. Where does this rank in terms of recent performances and recent wins for the national team?
Yeah, no, it was absolutely massive because it's not easy to play the hosts in any competition in front of a strong French crowd, strong France side, deep at all positions, and Canada gave them a good game. In terms of wins, this is definitely up there in terms of one of the best in program history. I think just in at least for everything that's kind of surrounded them, to be up backs against the wall, you need to win. At least, it's assuming you have no idea what's going on with the peel. You just have to operate with the idea you need to win. Down a goal for you to score in the 102nd minute. I heard from a lot of people who were watching the game, and for them, it was just this is the kind of game you remember that you're like, where was I when that happened? In terms of the performance, it was kind of a tale of two halves game. But what I like is that showed the Canadian resiliency. They go down early. They were defending really well. They kind of give up a goal to a talented player in Katoto who knows how to punish. And then Canada just kind of stuck at it. And who would have thought that heading into an Olympics, their first two games, they come from behind to get 2 wins? That's impressive from this group, and it shows what they can do, especially to see them scoring in open play. That's a big takeaway. They've already matched their Olympic total from the last Olympics for
Wild.
non-penalty goals. Like this, it's nice to see this team thriving a bit more offensively while still sticking to their defensive principles.
We love the on-field drama for all the right reasons. Let's go to Ollie drama over there. What's your assessment of the performance in the win?
It was a massive win. It honestly felt like, and I'm not saying that I put it on this level, but it felt like in the moment that they'd won a medal. Like the emotion on the pitch and the enormity of that moment. That was how it kind of felt. And I think it told you everything you need to know about this team. They've had a lot of stuff thrown at them that's not their responsibility, not their fault over the past week. They've been deducted points. They've been told they shouldn't even be at this tournament, sometimes by Canadians themselves, that they should have been kicked out. They've had past successes questions over the past few days because of this scandal that's engulfing the team. And, they couldn't have come up with a better answer of what this team is about. Vanessa Gilles said it perfectly in her post-game interview. They're a good team and they're capable of this stuff. And to beat France on their own turf, in the situation they're in, needing to win to have a chance to go through, I think was a pretty remarkable moment for this group of players that has made a habit of delivering these types of moments over the past few years. So huge win. And now we go into a game that feels just as big against Colombia on Wednesday, where they need to do the exact same thing again.
It was unquestionably a great moment, but it's part one of two. Now they need to go on and beat Colombia. I mean, appeal pending quite clearly. It's just if they don't finish the job against Colombia and come away with the full 3 points, you'll be kind of left like, oh yeah, what happened on the weekend? Like it's recency bias. It's always on to the next one. So what, based upon the performances that we've seen from Canada through 2 games at the Olympic Games, and let's talk about the on-field stuff here. What about those performances leave you feeling confident, Ollie, that they can come away with a result against Colombia on Wednesday?
Well, I think it's what Alex mentioned a moment ago, is that they are scoring some goals. They've had to come from behind in both games. They've scored multiple goals in both games. There's a range of different attackers, I think, starters and subs that you can bring in that look capable of making impacts right now. And they're going to need that against a Colombia team that is going to be difficult to beat. And we know we've talked over and over again that these games can be difficult for Canada at times, even when there's a quality advantage, when they go up against a team that digs in, that makes life challenging for them in terms of creating chances and scoring goals. It's not necessarily the type of game they thrive in. So they're going to get a bit of that with much more quality at the opposite end of the pitch than New Zealand provided with Caicedo. I believe Myra Ramirez is back from her suspension. I can't find any official confirmation of how long that suspension is, but I'm expecting she'll be there available to play as well. So there's going to be more of a threat to potentially punish Canada if they're not clean in this game. And the same kind of challenge, I think, in terms of breaking an opponent down and getting their goals. So it's not going to be an easy game, and it's not an easy situation to be in, knowing that, again, pending this appeal, you still need a win to go through.
What do you make of this Canada team and the way they've been playing, Alex?
Yeah, I think this is it's going to be a fascinating matchup because I think based on how they've been playing, of course they'll enter this game confident and they'll feel that they have what it takes. But they do match up a bit weird against Colombia. I think the fact that Colombia is comfortable sitting a little deeper, so lethal on the counterattack. Like Linda Caicedo is just such a unique transitional weapon on that left wing. Myra Ramirez, for as much as she struggles to put the ball in the net for her country, she still offers a threat. She can hold up the ball, play off of Caicedo. Thought Catalina Usme in the first game was just dangerous. Like they have a lot of attacking threat. So for Canada, the question will just be, do they have enough patience in attack to break down Colombia while not giving too much of themselves at the other end? I think the good news is they do, because a big player who's really stepped up and I think deserves a shout out for her first 2 games is Jade Rose. The fact that she's dealt with some, like against France, what she was doing to Deanne was incredible. Like she just had her locked down, no worries at all in transition. And Canada's going to need that against Caicedo. And I think the nice thing is you can look at that matchup and feel confident. So yeah, for Canada, I think the big thing that really stood out is they've struggled a bit out wide. They're going to need that out wide against a low block. You need some more quality from Ashley Lawrence. Gabrielle Carl's been doing a good side on that, good thing on that left side. Overload Colombia, get some balls in the box, get some goals, and keep things tidy at the back.
It's going to be a battle of contrasting styles. Look, Canada played their part in that game against France. I'm going to be honest with you. I was not impressed with France. Like they're an older team in this competition, and they look slow. Look like they've aged. The backup goalkeeper needs to do better on the shot from Heidema, and then the rebound by Jill. Like we're all celebrating the Canada goal, and Canada certainly were gutsy and played their part, but that's a soft goal to concede. Canada are going to have to be sharp against Colombia. And why I have confidence in them, they're battle tested. Like, never mind. I don't even want to talk about the distraction because on the field, you can play with a level of freedom, I think, get away from that noise. This Canada team has shown that they can play up to competition. They're entirely competitive. And the combination of their goalkeeper and the back three are as good as it gets in this tournament. That's a good nucleus to build from. And like you said, Alex, if they can still find ways to get goals in open play, then look out. They can hang with anyone in this tournament. So one more to go against Colombia, and we wish them the best of luck on Wednesday. Obviously, the off-field story is just a beast. It's just a juggernaut because cheating and the Olympic Games, they're synonymous with controversy, and it's always well publicized. I mean, there's been other controversy already at these Olympic Games as well. And some big stories with big-name athletes participating as well. Alex, is this Canadian women's national team controversy, is it the biggest story at the Olympic Games right now?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's fair to suggest ultimately. I think it's the fact that cheating and the Olympics, those are just two things that, whether you like it or not, it brings up attention, it brings up storyline. You add in it's Canada. Canada is typically one of those teams that they accumulate medals. They're well known. They're also well respected as in terms of competitors and the sportsmanship they bring. That's been another aspect to consider. You add in that it's the soccer tournament. While you can debate how important, how popular it is at the Olympics, I still think this is a tournament that people keep an eye on. Like for me, I think it's been the biggest story so far in the early days. It's just too hard to ignore a scandal like that. And you add in that Canada's kind of almost added to that drama. Like I think this story could have maybe been swept up if they go out and lose one of their first 2 games and they're not heading into this final game with the chance to still top their group, which is a ridiculous statement, by the way. Like the fact that they've gone out and performed in the light of this has kind of added a bit of a fuel to the fire, because now it's kind of created this like players versus coach battle. That's another storyline to watch. I think it's been the biggest story.
Ollie, biggest story. You agree with Alex?
I think if you take the Olympics as a whole so far, I would say yes, it has been. The guy, the guy who's painted blue on the plate during the opening ceremony, he's got to be right up there in the conversation as well, I think. But aside from that one, maybe not right now, and I'm kind of hoping not right now. I'm hoping that maybe this is cooling off a little bit, and obviously the other events are underway now, and there's a lot of great stories going on. And not that I don't think Canada should be a big story, and not that I don't think that this kind of scandal should start to be brushed under the rug now and forgotten about. But I'm hoping there's a bit more calm around this group, and they're not totally the center of attention at this Olympics. But I think to this point in the games, because this all kind of broke out before any of the other sports had started, yeah, I do think it's been the biggest story so far.
It's really hard to gauge, in fairness. I think it might be a little bit of a trick question, because the biggest story of the Olympics depends where you're from. And certainly in this country, it is. Everyone looks at their own nation and their own athletes as being the biggest stories. Like, you're telling me that this is going to get more attention than LeBron James and the basketball team, or Simone Biles, or go down the list. It's just, for us, it's very much in our face because of our attachment with this team and the fact they're reigning gold medalists. I'm just not quite sure it's the biggest Olympic story, nor will it be come the end of these Olympic Games. We shall see. Because every day this story continues to shift. More news, more insight, more reporting comes to light. I just wonder where it goes from here. Obviously, this was a Bev Priestman story. Now it's kind of morphed into, well, a Canadian women's national team and the players' resiliency story. John Herdman has been implicated. And the thing that sticks out to me is there significant cultural implications that seem to be much more far-reaching than this one incident that initially kind of brought light to this entire mess, this entire situation right now. What do you think, Ollie? What happens next? Where does this story go from here?
I wish I knew. I think there's kind of two different avenues it can go down. I think we could see, maybe FIFA feels they've done their part in terms of the punishment they've handed out, and and Canada Soccer will now be allowed to go through that independent review. FIFA, I'm sure, will be watching and will want to be satisfied by that. But maybe if Canada Soccer goes about that the right way and takes the appropriate actions, that we're able to deal with this internally in our own country rather than needing other people to hold our hand through it. And we can all kind of move on with this, not quickly, because this is going to take a little while, but at least somewhere in the medium term. And I think that would be the best thing for Canadian soccer. The other potential avenue here is a little bit messier, which is that, things continue to trickle out and be reported. And if they are reported, then I'm not saying they shouldn't be. If that, if more information is out there, then it should come to light. And it all continues to get a little bit messier. And one of the things that has troubled me so far is that I don't feel like some of the people who have been implicated in this and have been asked about it have been totally honest so far. And that is not going to help us as we move forward in this, in terms of, doing the fact finding we need to do, making the changes that we need to do, and coming through this, hopefully in a better place. So that concerns me a little bit, but I think it's anyone's guess. It really depends on what kind of information comes out in the coming weeks here. That maybe we haven't even already heard about yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the women's team, it's straightforward for them. They proved their point. Big win. They're going to move on to Wednesday. They get to refocus and really hone in on the task at hand, which is a game on the field. I think that's a really positive thing. The other side of the equation is that cultural element that I touched on. Individuals that are responsible for this, I have a hard time believing that more won't come to light. I am just amazed by how many people are now openly discussing and airing issues and telling their story about things that have been happening. It's almost as if this has been a well-known secret for quite some time, and now it's time to air all of those grievances. That's where we are right now. I'm with you. The one thing that I wouldn't do if I was an individual being implicated in this, I wouldn't lie. I would take ownership. I'm not accusing anyone of lying, but I would just be straightforward. Mistakes have been made. That's part of a leader, putting up your hand and acknowledging the role that you played in those errors. That's the way that this gets cleaned up moving forward. I fail to believe that we're anywhere near the finish line here for this story, when sources that are deep inside the Canadian game and across world football, which may even include players who have played under these managers, Let's see where it goes from here. It's simply not anywhere near over. Time now for Tony Bet top picks. And for our top picks presented by Tony Bet, let's focus on the Olympics. Canada minus 121 to beat Colombia on Wednesday. Colombia plus 270, and the draw plays a plus 254. Ollie, where's your money going?
Give me Canada. I think they've got some momentum behind them. I think the performances have been decent, close to even money. I'll take Canada to get the job done here.
Alex?
Yeah, I'd say Canada win. I just think the fact they got the wins over France, New Zealand, it's setting up for a dramatic finish. And as we saw with their late winner, they like a bit of drama.
I'll just say this. Beware the hangover. There was so much like extra put into that game, and the emotions were clear to see. It's difficult to come out and replicate that performance all over again. Let's touch on one more from that same group. New Zealand plus 1,300 against France. France minus 715. The draw at plus 560. The total for goals is set at 3, minus 152 for the over. Ollie?
I'd be tempted to look at the over there. I think France are going to have a little bit of a response game in this one, and New Zealand just haven't been impressive. So I could see this one being one-sided.
Alex?
Well, just on the other side of it, France has kind of ran back the same lineup, and they've gassed out twice at halftime of games. And if they don't do any rotation, it could end up being a cagey, low-scoring game. So that's an argument for the other side.
New Zealand on the handicap. That's what I hear.
Okay.
Good stuff. Ollie, Alex, I'm Wheels. This has been One Soccer Today. Thanks for